Right, so again, first things first, massive shout out to my man for giving me this idea. Like, I won't lie, reading his comment, I'm not even sure if this is what he means, nor do I care if this video doesn't even get 1k views, cause boy, this was fun to make. This is the greatest performances versus Barcelona all-time 11. Since 2004. This is the criteria for the judgment of performance. No two players from the same game will be taken, otherwise it will probably just be the Bayern lineup from the 8-2 defeat. Let's roll on. Formation 4-2-3-1. Goalkeeper Fraser Forster, 7th November 2012. And we start off with already one of the strongest performances on this list. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that this was one of the greatest goalkeeping performances in Champions League history. Man, Fraser Forster was a giant that day, as opposed to just being very big on other days. Keeping out anything and everything fired at him, using one hand, two hands, keeping hold, saving with the legs. This is what you call a truly complete shot stoppers display. And the fact that it was topped off by him assisting Celtic's second and basically match-winning goal just makes it extra sweet. And to be honest, even the consolation injury time goal he did concede was far from his fault. His dopey defense left Lionel Messi in the year of our Lord 2012 unmarked 6 yards from goal. Well done. Oh, and speaking of whom, by the way, if you haven't seen this Forster performance and are having trouble believing me, well, believe this. Messi was so impressed that day, he said Forster can't be human. Pot kettle black shit this. Right back. Lucas Vasquez, 21st April 2024. That's right, the Man U low-life losers lately have loved to ludicrously lambast and lament about turned in the greatest right-back's performance versus Barcelona in the last 20 years. Walking past two players and winning the penalty for Vinny's goal, getting on the score sheet himself for the second equalizer, and then setting the winner up in injury time. Also, he was super solid at the back too, with none of Barca's goals being his fault in any shape or form. That's crucial too, let's not forget. Centre back Diego Godin, 17th of May 2014. A very underrated performance from one of the most underrated centre backs of his generation. From my money, the most underrated season by a top level player from that generation. Diego Godin in 2013-2014 was a true winner for Atletico, be it his dogged defensive displays, his coming clutch goals, or his leadership by both voice and example, all of which were evident here. Going into the final day of the 2013-2014 season, Atletico Madrid needed a point to secure a historic league title for the club, but after falling behind just after the half-hour mark, it didn't look very promising. Until the man who stepped up for them so many times throughout the season stepped up once again, pulling it back a few minutes following the break. He then followed that with over 40 minutes of a solid defensive performance, taking his club to the finish line. Before getting f***ed in Europe a week later, but hey, he scored there too, so fair enough. Centre back Sergio Ramos, 24th of October 2020. As unexpected as it is, Sergio Ramos' greatest Clasico performance came at 34 years of age and at a time where Real were long past their Europe dominating best. He won everything he could, he stopped everything he could, and he even snatched a winner in the other end from the spot. As was the story of most of his career, it was cometh the hour, cometh the man. Left back David Alaba, 23rd April 2013. Could have been a few of them from that day. Hell, could have been all of them from that day. But I have chosen to go for the future Madridista who made Pedro chase shadows that day. And chase shadows to such an extent that, well, he was eventually brought off. David Alaba was already a world-class talent by this point, but his performances in, to be fair, both legs of that tie cemented his place amongst the world's best at the time. Also, the assist for the final goal was a sweet bonus. Nice work that. Defensive midfield Casemiro, 2nd April 2016. The day Zizou finally listened to what I'd been whining about on Twitter since January that year. Get rid of James and integrate Casemiro into that midfield. I was a wise man then, I'm a wise man now. Yeah, right, because despite basically being given a baptism of fire treatment by being pitted up against that Barca midfield plus Messi straight away, Casemiro stayed calm, dealt with each attack one by one, nicking the ball off the Barca players seemingly at his will, giving the Madrid players in front of him the freedom to go on and win the game. And win they did. This was truly the making of Casemiro. Also, if you just want to go and see a game where Messi is baffled out of his mind, just watch. His entire PSG run. But yeah, he was actually decent in this game. Central midfield Angel Di Maria, 23rd of March 2014. Of all the midfield greats that have put up stellar displays against Barcelona in the last 2 decades, my choice for the best is a guy who isn't even a central midfielder. And not only that, this is the only performance on this list that comes from a player on the losing side. And not only that, Lionel Messi scored a fucking hat-trick in this game and yet couldn't get anywhere near lacing up Di Maria's boots. If those things don't paint a picture on just how amazing El Fideo was that night, go and seek it for yourself. You won't regret it. Right wing, David Beckham, 10th of April 2005. On a warm Sunday afternoon where numerous greats of the game lined up alongside each other, like seriously look at these names, f***ing mental, one man stood tall, one man stood above all. This was David Beckham's greatest performance from his underrated Real Madrid career, and it showed what he really could have showcased more often had he had a sitting midfielder beside him more often. He was involved in almost every goal, registering 2 assists, and was anywhere and everywhere you laid your eyes on, going both ways. Take a bow, sir. Left wing, Cristiano Ronaldo, 29th of August 2012. I mean, I'm just tempted to leave this image on the screen for like 4 seconds and then swiftly move on to the next entry, but yeah, let's talk more. So this was basically the ideal stage and ideal game for a vintage CR7 performance. And no, it wasn't just because it was a final and the circumstances were set up for a comeback from a deficit, but I'm sure these things did help. But also, he was a part of Mourinho's counter-attacking demons against a side who you could only really hurt on the counter in a game where his coach's game plan worked to perfection. And Ronnie's job in all this was pretty simple. Whenever he got on the ball, he had to move the play forward as quickly as possible. Real were never gonna tic-a-taca their way around Busquets and enjoy long spells of possession, and well, I be damned, whenever the ball came to Ronaldo, it was pretty much gone and gone to a more dangerous place almost instantly, culminating in one of the more funnier goals he scored against Barca. Funny cause it was against PK. It's just fun to laugh at PK. Central attacking midfield, Thomas Müller, 14th of August 2020. And he'll also captain this team while being a player manager too, cause I don't know, it just sounds good. So I'm sure most of you knew this guy was going to feature on here. The only question was, which performance would make the entry? Well, when it came down to it, it was between his performance in the 4-0 win over Barca in the first leg in 2013, or it was this one. In the end though, I opted for the 8-2 dropping because I do think it was the center of pretty much everything Bayern did that day. From opening the scoring very early on, ending with 2 goals and 1 assist in the game, dropping into pockets and playing balls through, and making sure Bayern continued their streak of both scoring a boatload of goals in every UCL game that season, as well as continuing to embarrass Barca in what seemed like every UCL season. And for an extra bonus, this was truly the peak of those magnificent Messi Müller memes, and I think it's safe to say, for good reason. Centre forward, Cristiano Ronaldo, 20th April 2011. Simply epic. One of the very first times he was being used as a striker by Mourinho, with practically no time to adjust and having to learn on the job, and that too against Barcelona, and that too against that Barcelona. I've said this before, but you put the vast majority of footballers in the world at their peak in that exact scenario, they go into their shell and phone it in for the night. Not him though. Wasn't him. Can't be him. Can never be him. And that is that. Agree or disagree? Beats indifference. So what do you think of this team? Are there any other amazing performances against Barca since 2004 that I've missed out? Let me know in the comments below. And as usual, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Till next time, you keep rolling.